Let's talk about the Unreal show. Again, we were touching on this just a moment ago, and one of the things that people have been able to do is in the trailer they show the writers' room, and in that writers' room, there's like a dry erase board, Jeff, and on that dry erase board, it actually listed what the original card for WrestleMania this year was going to be. So I wanted to show that to you, and let's actually discuss it.
Is this an Easter egg?
Yes. So if you were watching the trailer, you could screen grab this and then zoom in and read what's written on the board in the background. So for the title, it was originally supposed to be Cody and John Cena. It was originally supposed to be Roman Reigns versus CM Punk versus Seth Rollins. But there was also another idea for the World Heavyweight title of Punk versus Rollins versus Gunther. So they clearly had to make a decision there with Punk and Rollins. And then for the women's title, Rhea Ripley and Bianca Belair. The other ladies' belt, Jade Cargill and Nia Jax. Randy Orton and Kevin Owens. Seems like that's been in the works for quite a while. The Wyatt Six, who weren't even on the show against the Judgment Day. Charlotte and Becky as a tag team against Io and Asuka. AJ Styles was always supposed to be in there with Logan Paul, I suppose. They had Dominic Mysterio in a singles match against Bad Bunny, believe it or not. And they had Drew McIntyre working with Braun Breaker, which just seems crazy. But I guess somehow along the way, it was always supposed to be Rey Mysterio with a special guest versus Chad Gable. We know instead we were supposed to get El Grande Americano, but it wound up not being Rey Mysterio, but Rey Fenix. What do you think of this original card? Do you think this would have been better, Jeff, than what we wound up getting?
I mean, I'm assuming this is just kind of fodder and talk and chatter. And was that the original card? Are you saying it is, or is it like a hypothetical, or is this?
That's a dry erase board from the trailer in the writer's room for the new show, WWE Unreal. So I'm not saying that anyone etched it in stone and said this is the final version and then things changed, but that's certainly what's written on the board in the writer's room on the trailer.
Okay. Bad Bunny and Dom. I guess old Travis Scott bumped Bad Bunny from the card. No. Look, the amount of times in creative that we used to do them in 3-month arcs, and we would put our main events for even as far out as a year, but 9 months out, just kind of main events, 1 match or 2 matches on months 4, 5, and 6. Just kind of, and maybe even further out than that. So look, it's put stuff up on the board. It's made to change. It's made to have discussion. It's made to pivot on injuries and all that kind of stuff. There was a couple of things that I thought were interesting. The Charlotte Becky teaming. I thought that could have been a really cool Mania moment if that would have ever happened. Dave, if you don't mind, put that back up there if Connie wants me to comment on it. The Wyatt Six and Judgment Day, I guess that went south. Rhea turned into that 3-way. Look, so it changed quite a bit. And it's, the Jade match, that's interesting as well, how it turned into the Naomi match. Look, it's cards are made to be changed and all that kind of stuff. They probably landed on. It's interesting when you look at the reason I'm not really, I guess it jumps off the page. So where's Jey Uso on this card?
That's exactly right. He's not on there at all.
I mean, that's a pretty big omission, if you will. And the Bad Bunny Dom.
Jacob Fatu's not on it. LA Knight's not on it.
Yeah. It shaked out quite differently in a lot of ways.
I think it'll be interesting just to see the evolution of that, because I think as fans for so long, we've always said, man, I wonder why they didn't do so-and-so. Well, if you really get to hear some of the context for why some of those decisions are made, maybe you'll stop thinking people are idiots and there were just other matters involved that forced a different decision, right?
The edit in that show is, I don't say all that matters, but
yeah,
super critical. Again, because it's I understand why they're doing it, but I just think you need to really think through what product you are delivering, and you know, don't sacrifice Raw for this content.
Let's do another couple of questions here, and then I've got a big one I want to finish with. Instagram, a wrestling historian, wants to know, Jeff, would you book WrestleMania as a predictable pay-per-view, or are swerves needed? I did see that feedback a little bit over the weekend that people were saying night one sucked, and I thought, I don't know, it did exactly what I expected. But I think people were let down that there weren't more swerves or surprises or twists. They felt like it was too predictable. I don't know that predictability is a bad thing, but this is a fair question. Do you think every WrestleMania needs a few swerves in order for it to feel special?
So, and I'm going to wordsmith this. Do you put swerve and surprises in the same category?
Yes.
Okay. I don't. I think swerve is a creative direction that, oh, I didn't expect that finish. I didn't expect that plot twist. Uh, so I don't think, I'll say swerves are absolutely needed. I do think you need to over deliver on star power. Like, I can't believe I saw this cameo.
Well, let me explain why I lumped them together. The
Okay.
question was a predictable pay-per-view.
Yeah.
So, and the whatever comes after is predictable, or
I got it.
to me, it's like unpredictable. So unpredictable by definition to me is surprise. So I was going through just the emotion of, oh, hey, I wasn't
Yeah.
what
Yeah.
we might call a cheap pop, like, oh, I didn't know they were here, or oh, I didn't see him turning his back on him, whatever it may be.
Yeah.
It's the same reaction.
So my response is predictable. I don't think it needs to be predictable. Not saying you have to do screw job finishes or finishes out of left field, not or turns or any of that. I'm saying over deliver on, and I'm not saying massive surprises. I'm just saying, we're talking about an event that's been around since the mid 80s. So a massive amount of history here. And with the social media world and the amount of athletes and Hollywood and influencers, all these kind of folks that want to be involved, I think it's what a big event is all about, to over deliver on star appeal, wherever that may come from.
I really want to ask you a couple more questions here, and then we've got a fun sort of controversial one that I know you'll have a lot of fun with.
Oh, here we go. You're teeing me up before I get on this damn plane. Who knows what you're going to come at me with?
Coach Keith wants to know, Jeff, speaking on the Easter Sunday topic, did your dad run shows on Easter Sunday? And did you have to work a lot on Easter Sunday? That's interesting because we've talked a lot about, Thanksgiving shows and Christmas shows and Labor Day shows, but we haven't spent a ton of time talking about Easter shows. Did your dad run Easter shows? Was that a territory thing? I don't even know the answer to
So
that.
I want our My World listeners to help me out here. Obviously, I'm from the South, as some folks call it, Connie, the Bible Belt. Isn't that what
That's
they call
right.
that
Yes,
area?
sir.
So one of my daughters was asking me about that because they were like, what? WrestleMania's tonight? It was just, and uh, I don't believe I've wrestled on Christmas Eve, New Year's Eve, Christmas Day, New Year's Day, every Memorial Day, Labor Day, whatever it is. I've wrestled on all the holidays many times, except I do not believe that I've ever wrestled on Easter Sunday. And I think it goes in two ways. We never had a regular town. We had monthly Sundays towns. We never had a weekly Sunday town. So in other parts of the territory days, did their Sunday shows keep running on Easter Sunday? I wasn't a part of, but I think from a monetization standpoint, Easter Sunday, certainly in our 7-state area as a territory, and when I went to WWF and WCW, I don't think there were pay-per-views on Easter Sunday. I mean, NASCAR, my gosh, they dropped a couple of years ago. I think they had one or two. They dropped it again this year. It's just it's a date that it's hard. Uh, it's hard to compete about Jesus coming, being resurrected. It just, no, Conrad, I've never, to my knowledge, ever worked on Easter Sunday.